They told me Scotland was haunted, not by ghosts, but by memories, by the echo of bagpipes carried through mist, by the low rumble of thunder over ancient hills, by the feeling that time itself hesitates here. As the morning train curved through the fog-draped highlands, I felt it too, that shiver of something ancient stirring in the air. The sky was silver, the rain soft as breath, and every shadow on the horizon seemed to hide a story waiting to be found. When the train hissed to a stop in Edinburgh, I stepped onto the platform, my reflection glinting faintly in the rain-soaked glass, pink hair shimmering against the gloom, blue eyes alive with curiosity. Wrapped in an elegant tartan cloak, I felt both out of place and entirely at home, as though the land itself had been waiting. My journey through Scotland began atop a sleeping volcano. The wind carried a quiet authority as it swept through Edinburgh Castle, its ancient stones whispering tales from 1,000 years past. Perched upon the weathered crown of Castle Rock, a volcano that fell silent 350 million years ago, the fortress stood like a sentinel between heaven and history. I traced my fingers along the dark stone, cool and rough beneath my gloves. From the Iron Age tribes who once lit fires on this summit to the monarchs who ruled behind these walls, every crevice seemed to hum with life. Then, at precisely 1 o'clock, a thunderous boom cracked through the air, the famous 1 o'clock gun. The sound rolled over the city like a heartbeat, marking time the way only Scotland could, with dignity, defiance, and echoing grace. In Stirling, the land stretched wide and proud beneath a pewter sky. Rising from the forested ridge of Abbey Craig, the Wallace Monument stood like a stone flame piercing the clouds. Built in 1869 by the will and generosity of a nation, it honored the man who refused to kneel, Sir William Wallace. Climbing its spiral steps, I could almost hear the whisper of steel and freedom in the wind. Inside, relics rested behind glass, the most haunting of all, a lock of Wallace's own hair. I leaned close and stared at the faint strands, golden with time, a relic both sacred and unsettling. It was as if his spirit still lingered, fierce and unbroken, daring anyone to forget the cost of liberty. Back in Edinburgh, the rain had turned to mist, soft silver and holy. Inside St. Giles Cathedral, the air shimmered with color as sunlight spilled through stained glass, painting ruby and sapphire across the ancient stone. Once, this place had been torn apart by reformers, stripped of its altars and ornaments. But centuries later, faith had rebuilt what fury had broken. Now the cathedral breathed again, majestic in its rebirth. Beneath its vaulted arches, I found the Thistle Chapel, small, golden, and exquisite, where Scotland's noblest knelt in silence beneath angels carved from oak. As I stood there, a ray of light broke through the clouds and fell across my face. It felt like a benediction, as though God himself still lingered in the dust of the old stones. By dusk, I found myself in Falkirk, where twilight shimmered across the still waters of the Helix. And there they stood, two colossal horse heads rising from the earth, their steel hides catching the violet light of evening. The Kelpies, they seemed alive, watching me with silent majesty, their reflections trembling on the mirrored water. Sculpted in 2013 by Andy Scott, each stood 30 meters high and weighed over 300 tons, inspired by the great Clydesdale horses that once pulled Scotland's industry forward. Yet, despite their might, they were hollow, vast chambers of echoing metal one could walk within. As I stepped closer, the wind whispered between them like a living breath. For a moment, I could almost believe the old legends, that beneath the gleaming steel, spirits of water and myths still waited to rise. My journey ended where the city met the sky, atop Calton Hill, as the sun sank behind Edinburgh's rooftops. The air was warm with the scent of heather and dusk. The National Monument stood before me, half-finished yet impossibly proud, its Greek columns reaching toward the fading light. They called it Edinburgh's Disgrace, abandoned in 1826 for lack of funds. But as I watched the golden sun bathe the city below, I saw no disgrace, only beauty and incompletion, a lesson written in stone. Perhaps that's what Scotland truly is, not a land of endings, but of echoes, of faith that endures, of dreams that never quite fade. I pulled my tartan cloak tight against the chill, my pink hair glowing like fire in the dying light, and smiled. Some stories, I realized, are meant to end. They're meant to be lived, one monument, one heartbeat, one holy silence at a time.